Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Soda Citizen podcast. We are so excited about our guest today. We have Jenna Bridgers with us, who is VP of Retail and Recruitment for City Center Partnership. That's right. Sorry, that was a lot to say. And then we have Matt Kennel with us, who is the president and CEO of City Center Partnership. And so we are delighted to have you both here today so that we can learn about all the wonderful things happening in our city.
So I always like to start out with talk to me like a fifth grader. What is the
That's how I talk to him every day.
Y'all as the Main Street people, but it's obviously something different. So do y'all have a geographical area that you focus in, and what exactly is the layman's term of mission and vision for what y'all are trying to do?
Me take a shot?
Yeah.
I'll take a shot, but Jenna, please interrupt me. We represent the Main Street District, which is actually officially named the City Center Business Improvement District, but Main Street District sounds a lot cooler. That was actually Jenna's idea. I'll give her credit for that. It is the area between Elmwood and Gervais, and the area between Marion Street and Assembly. So basically the Vista to Baptist Hospital, 126 to the State House.
Okay, fair enough. Good, awesome. And the intention of the city partnership, City Center Partnership, is to promote business and growth, or?
Yes, and we are supported through a special tax district by the property owners in the area, but then their tenants are also very, very important to us, and that's really where Jenna comes in to make sure that those spaces are full so the owners are happy and we can continue operating. So Jenna, I'll let you explain that.
Right. So we do retail recruitment, which is actually getting ground level tenants for the buildings that we represent. So restaurants, retailers, unique uses for downtown to make it cool and fun and somewhere you'd want to come spend time with your family. And we also do a lot of public space management. So the little pocket park beside Taps is a good example. It's owned by the city, but we manage it. We make sure that there's neat things going on as much as possible. We encourage events to be downtown, things like that. We do lobbying, or not lobbying, but just not lobbying, making sure that we're representing the downtown district to city council. If there are things that are needed downtown, development issues, things like that, helping Soda City Market operate without any hiccups with the city and stuff like that. So we have our hands in a lot of different pots, and it's really just to make downtown be as awesome as it can be. So
absolutely.
I have a quick question about retail recruitment. So I hear, and I'm sure you hear it all the time, people are like, why does it take so long to get a Starbucks here? Or why does it take so long to get such and such here? Why don't you help people understand what is involved in recruiting businesses and shops?
That's a good question. Really good. And it is... It's an interesting thing. So a lot of the big national chains like a Starbucks or a Banana Republic, for example, those folks have very stringent requirements on where they're going to locate. They're not just going to come because I email them every week saying, hey, downtown Columbia is great. They have...
But we do that.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Well, I do badger people a lot, but they're going to have very specific requirements for level of income, number of people within a driving distance of 1 mile, 3 miles, 5 miles. Just a whole array of things that they look at. Rent rates are important to them, obviously. So there's a lot of things that go into that people don't understand. And something that's unique about Main Street is that we really try to focus on more local or regional businesses. We're not really going after national businesses as much. I mean, I love a Starbucks as much as anybody, but we also love Drip, and we also love the Oliver Gospel Mission just opened up a roastery this week, and their coffee is amazing.
And they have a mascot now.
Oh, they have a mascot now?
Ollie.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
They've got a mascot.
Okay.
So having those local and regional businesses that kind of give Main Street an edge, give it a little flair, make it a unique shopping destination, is something that we really pride ourselves on. So, it is hard to get an Apple to come to Columbia, for example, although I have heard that we are getting an Apple before year end. Have you heard that?
Oh, great. Oh boy, now you're going to upset the happy people.
I just heard it the other day from a pretty reputable source somewhere in the USC area of town.
That would be
That's
great.
what I've heard.
That's the whole city of Columbia, isn't it?
Well, south of our district, I'll say.
Well, I mean, speaking of the potential of an Apple store, what are some things that are coming that you can talk about?
Well, y'all just dropped, sorry.
Yeah.
I saw an article this morning when I was doing my research, which is typical, like last minute.
Yeah.
Like $200 million
Yes.
of infrastructure or stuff coming.
Big stuff. You know, there's a lot of potential for new street level businesses, but there are about 4 or 5 big projects which have been percolating for years, which are now happening. I mean, on the corner of Lady and Assembly, we've got the Palms on Lady, excuse me, a really great apartment development, the highest end really in Columbia with retail on the bottom. The Edge, another giant student housing development, has been approved after 3 years, right next to the Richland Library. The old VA building, which I'll give Mayor Benjamin and your favorite John Scherer some credit for saving. That's an historic building that was saved by some local action, and now it's going to be developed into luxury apartments from a developer from the Seychelles Islands. Do anybody know where that is? I don't know.
Sounds, yes, not on a map, but I've heard of it.
Sounds like a place you'd want to fish.
You're teaching geography right now.
And then several other apartment projects, another one at Lady and Sumter. So we're seeing literally a couple $100 million of new development that's either already out of the ground with cranes soon to be assembled, with more coming next year. So we're happy about that. I think that bodes well.
Isn't it always like an oxymoron though? Like the restaurants bring housing, but housing brings the businesses that need the demographics.
There's a relationship.
Yeah, there definitely is a relationship. I mean, when you have feet on the street, then you've got restaurants that come to feed those people, and then usually the retailers come after that. So there is sort of an order to the madness, and we haven't seen a whole lot of new development like what Matt is talking about in quite a while. So we're hoping that this will be kind of the spark that then brings the second round of new development, whether it be restaurants or new retailers.
So when I was in college, I lived at Adams Mark my freshman year of college. And so I had to walk all the way to USC because I thought it was cool at the time. It really wasn't. But like even the Chick-fil-A that is now Cantina would close at like 3 p.m., you know, especially if session wasn't in. There's nothing on there. So what I have seen in my 20-ish years of being here has been phenomenal. And also you hear a lot of politicians always talking about Main Street USA, but it really does revolve around our Main Street. But why is the Main Street section so important to the entire?
Well, what Mayor Benjamin says, and I'll quote him, and I love it when he says this, is you can pronounce it. You know, in Columbia, we've got Huger, Hugie. You know, how do you pronounce these streets? You know, you can't do it, but you can pronounce Main Street, and I think that's true. I think everybody, when you say Main Street, has a vision in their head of what that is, and I think Columbia has done a better job than most cities in protecting that. And in the last 15 or 20 years since you've been here and I've been here, there's been a lot of emphasis on keeping it that way, making it very pedestrian friendly, making it green, making it dog friendly. You know, all those kind of things, and retail, which Jenna's very much a part of, and bringing that street level activity. So I think in one, we just talked about some development. One good development brings another, and that's been key to it too. We've had a good pace of that, and it's kind of kept going. But you can pronounce Main Street. That's the answer.
I think one other thing, just to kind of piggyback on that, is that Main Street is so pedestrian friendly. We've got these really nice wide sidewalks. You've got the tree canopy, which is really nice, especially in our hot summers that we have. And you've got the yellow shirts downtown, which make it feel really friendly and safe. And so I think all those things, what Matt said, and all those things just kind of add to the feeling where, you know, when I see a young mother and her stroller down on Main Street on a Tuesday, she went to all that trouble to pack everything up, unload it, and get it out.
She could have walked anywhere.
She could have gone anywhere. But we feel like we're winning when we see that kind of activity on the street. So it's just a fun place to be.
So you mentioned the people in the yellow shirts, right? So why don't you talk a little bit about what their role is, and is that a part of what you guys manage? Okay, so talk to some people might not be familiar with them.
It's actually the bedrock of everything we do. About 20 years ago, when we started this initiative, people just didn't feel safe downtown. Actually, the crime wasn't that bad. People just thought it was.
It was the perception.
And so we, with the funding that we acquired through the tax district, the very first thing we did was hire a group of ambassadors. They used to be called Clean Team. They used to be called the Safety Ambassadors and the Clean Team. But now everybody calls them the yellow shirts because that's the saying. It's our brand. But they are out there 7 days a week from 7:30 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night, really just focused, as Jenna said, in making the area desirable. I mean, to make it clean, to make it safe, to help you with any problem you may have. I mean, I've seen them change people's alternators on the street of Main Street.
I get the guy's number.
So they do whatever they can do to make it a positive experience. And over time, the word has gotten out. And I think now people feel very good about coming to the area.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to know a little bit more. And my question kind of revolves around the city has its idiosyncrasies of people feeling like it's not the most friendly city because of as basic as like parking meters on Main Street. Like you go to Greenville, you go to Charleston, like, oh, we have an office in Greenville. So I go up there, I'm like, I gotta go feed the meter. Like, no, we don't have them. I'm like, oh, that's nice. Like, so what are some other big initiatives that we're trying to do to draw the everyday Columbians to like Main Street to come shop and do things like that besides having the great retail? Like I know you do events, you do stuff like that.
Yeah, all the things that Jenna mentioned, and she can build on more. As far as parking, the city has really been focused on building structures. And in fact, I think has done that better than most of the competitive cities you just mentioned. The Hugheses, which own this development, actually told me one time that, man, if only Greenville had the garages that you have in Columbia. So, everybody addresses that in different ways. So we've done a pretty good job on that, but the meters are still talked about a lot, believe me. But it's really just creating a sense of place and a sense of destination. And Jenna, you may want to talk more about that, but it's just, from the landscaping to the trees to the seating in the area, anything to make it feel friendly and safe.
I will give a shout out to parking services. I know pre-COVID, they were working on rolling out some things within the garages that made first level parking be available so you could pop in and pop out. I think one of the main struggles in Columbia is really the communication to people about parking. Right. We don't have a parking problem. We have a communication problem about parking. So I think if we did a better job of communicating to people, hey, these are the 5 public garages. We actually have 5 public garages in a 36 block district in Main Street, which is huge because nobody else has that kind of parking availability. Plus you've got street level and surface parking and stuff like that. So I think just more clearly communicating to people with big placards and with social media, this is how you use the parking downtown. We work downtown, so we know how everything flows. Yeah. But if you don't, if you're my mom coming from Camden to meet up for lunch, you have no idea. Right. So I think getting the word out is really key to helping people feel like they can come downtown and park efficiently and get their stuff done. And I remind people all the time, Greenville has been redeveloping for over 30 years and Charleston is Charleston and you're gonna park 3 blocks away. And you don't mind it. So a lot of it is just creating a mindset shift for people that Columbia, you can't bring up the horse and buggy and park right in front anymore. We're growing, we're developing. You're going to have to learn how to use parking decks like people in other cities. You're going to have to learn how to use the Passport parking app and that kind of thing. So we're coming along. It's just going to take a little more time, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got it?
Yeah, well, I was just going to, offer this question to either one of you, or you can both tackle it. But I'm just curious, what do you see Main Street being or becoming or growing into in the next 5-10 years? Like in a perfect world, where would you like Main Street to be?
I'll take a shot at it, but I think it's more of the same, growing it. The Main Street district, we're not finished yet. We haven't linked to North Main Street. There's been a lot of great things happening north of Elmwood, and Main Street sort of falls off around the 1700 block or so. But there's some things happening there. There's some new development there right now, and I think that that will certainly grow, and there'll be a linkage that will be somewhat seamless between North Main and Main. Same on South Main. There are plans. The University of South Carolina has big plans to refresh South Main Street. So I think Main itself will extend, and then I think it also will extend east and west. And we're seeing that now. The Hotel Trundle opened up a year or so ago. There is other new developments, a new Holiday Inn on Sumter. I already mentioned the new apartments coming in at Sumter and Lady. Prisma Baptist is investing a lot of money into their area. There are things happening. So I think you're going to see an expansion of what you already see, and then probably more cross marketing and stuff with our adjacent districts, whether it's Bull Street or the Vista.
That's kind of my question too. Like, there's so many now districts that have organized, if you will, like obviously the Vista and Main Street. Noma's trying real hard, and they're getting there, and 5 Points and everybody else. And we've had a lot of those great people on our shows. Like, how do you feel like you're not competing with them, or are you a little bit in ways, or is it just we're just the flavor right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think Columbia is unique in that we have so many different pockets, sort of neighborhoods, that they all offer a little bit of something different. I think what's unique about Main Street is that we're a business district, so we have this huge influx of daytime workers, but we're also a place where you want to come hang out at night with your friends and go bowling or go to the Woody and go dancing, or maybe
whatever
not.
The kids do these days.
Whatever the kids do these days.
Or mom's not out.
That's right.
I mean, Transmission Arcade, I don't know if y'all have been there yet, but it's awesome and it's so retro and fun. That's in the 1700 block. So there's a lot of cool things to do here, where 5 Points might be a little bit of a younger crowd and the Vista might be a little bit of an older crowd. I think Main Street maybe draws a wide range from the 20s to the 40s, 50s, 60s. I don't know. We don't feel like we're competing, though. I mean, no, we really have great relationships with the other districts in town.
We do. And thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
In fact, we communicate with each other almost weekly. Like, have you ever had to talk to this person before? How did you approach them? Have you ever talked to this business? I mean, we share leads. If Jenna can't find a place for somebody in the Main Street district, because like you said earlier, people go where they want to go, retailers. The first thing she does is reach out to these competitive districts and say, hey, you might want to, we can't accommodate them, maybe you can, and vice versa. So I think there used to be some competition. In fact, when I started 20 years ago, it was pretty fierce, but that is really broken down, and I think we're on the same page now. And that may be part of the reason why Columbia as a whole is viewed more positively maybe than it used to be.
I feel like maybe this might be, I think it's right to say, like, I feel like Main Street District is turning more to a live work with the addition of apartments and condos and everything else, where you really don't have that in the Vista or 5 Points. I mean, you have the surrounding communities, but you don't have like a live work downtown area other than
it's the density. And in fact, we were looking, Jenna said I was a numbers person, but we were looking at some numbers recently. And even though, for example, the Vista generates a lot more restaurant meal tax than the Main Street District does, on a per square foot basis, we generate almost 3 times as much as the Vista does, and it's just because we're very compact and the development is close together, and I think that also is reflective maybe of why people do focus on the Main Street District, is the density of it. It's sort of a short story instead of a spread out area.
Absolutely. And so one of my final questions is events, stuff like that. I don't know, do y'all have a specific role in the New Year's Eve? Is that y'all, or is that in conjunction? Or
we promote everything in our district. I have been involved with Famously Hot New Year since the beginning, and Jenna is very involved with First Thursdays. We promote, and Jenna also, as she mentioned earlier, has been very integral to the success of the Soda City market. So we don't do events, but we very much support them.
Gotcha.
We support them behind the scenes. We support them logistically. We support them with staff from the Yellow Shirt ambassadors. And when we can afford it, we support them financially, because they do need money, and we want these events to be successful.
So do you know if they're doing a New Year's Eve kind of thing this year? Or
it's virtual.
It's virtual, just like everything else these days. Actually, I just emailed our retailers this morning telling them how they could get involved virtually with the event. So, everybody's having to drop back and punt this year because of COVID. So they will be having the event, but you will have to log on and see the live stream. So I don't think they're having live fireworks. I think it's going to be a compilation of previous years. I don't think they'd spend all that money if nobody was there to physically watch them. But they're still really plugging it and trying to have a really cool event just in a virtual way, and have, house parties and hosting events and stuff like that, so people can get together and hopefully bring in 2021 with positivity.
And quickly, bring it on.
It can only go up.
We're ready for it now.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Well, I would just be curious to know what you think maybe a little gem or a little treasure in the Main Street area that many people may not know about. Like, if you had 1 or 2 things that you wanted people to take away from this, going, oh yeah, I didn't know about that. Like, honestly, a lot of people don't know about the first Thursday, I feel like. So I just didn't know if there were one or two things that you were like, I really want people to know that this is what's happening or this is what's coming to this area.
Yeah. Well, first I want to say we can't pick a favorite because these are like our children, at least for us. I mean, all of our merchants are so awesome. I just want to give a shout out to all the Main Street District merchants because they have pivoted in a way that I didn't even think possible in March. Like I'm so proud of them and the way they've figured out new ways of serving their customers and, doing that. So, I mean, I mentioned transmission. That's a super cool thing that just opened up. Uptown on Main just reopened under new ownership, and she's getting in new things that are different and fun. Alpha One Fitness just opened up in the 1500 block, right where Free Times used to be. I mentioned the Roastery. I mean, there are just so many neat things that are coming. First Thursday, hopefully, is going to be back once the numbers start to drop. We just kind of every month we say, oh gosh, we can't encourage it this month.
Right. And is that year round? It's
year round. It's
Thursday.
the first Thursday of every single month of the year. It's programmed sort of individually by the different merchants on the street, but we do have a board that kind of oversees it and tries to have some cohesive themes throughout the year. So it's a great event to bring people downtown and kind of see what's new.
I agree with everything she said. But a couple of ones that are neat is we both have all these cool new things, but there are also some very cool legacy businesses there. I mean, King's Jewelers was opened up by Mr. Pico in 1946, and he's still in the store.
Wow.
Along with his sons. And Thomasina the tailor. Thomasina's His and Hers Tailoring in the Arcade building, which again is a very, very cool building. Built early 20th century. That's still surviving. In fact, it's just been redone. But if you go in and visit King's Jewelers and feel the history there of Main Street and how they persevered all these years, or go in and talk to Thomasina about how she's been down there with a needle and thread for 40 plus years, it really brings it home to what Main Street's all about. So I think when you combine those with all this sexy new stuff, it makes Main Street a pretty cool place.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh, one other place that I don't know if anybody knows about yet, but Oddbird Books, which we recruited out of Charleston. They're kind of an offshoot from Blue Bicycle. They're in the Arcade, and it's a cute little shop. And I bought some books for the boys the other day. We just finished reading Hatchet this morning.
Oh, that's a good one.
it's just a cool little trendy little place to check out. Allie and Eloise is in there. I mean, so the Arcade has some hidden gems within the Main Street District. So
awesome.
Just come stroll around. Come check it out.
Check it out.
Stuff.
Yeah.
That was a great spot.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all so much for being on our episode today. I hope you had a good time. I hope everybody enjoyed listening and learning about Main Street. So make sure you go check out the Soda City Market and all the great things that they have going on Main Street, and check us out on our next episode.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Good to be with you.
Yes, sir.